And here we go. So context on this, remember that this was last week, Monday, after doing like 12 attempts and just having it continually going downhill. So I was kind of mad. And I finished my prep for the rest of the week, or for the next day. But, well, I've still got some stir fry left. You know what? Screw it. We're fighting this one more time. If for nothing else, to get something where I can have a better performance. As it turns out, rage is a pretty good motivator. So you might notice I'm being very, very aggressive here. And I'm not losing out on the timing either while doing so. Because it's pretty easy to get picked off by, like, quit by one of these attacks. So if I'm too brazen about it, I'm gonna get punched in the face, but I managed to be on with all the dodging. It's kind of funny, because I guess I've never really explained it, but the standard Braver rotation for like a banishing arrow rotation is just to do 8 piercing arrows, but for a fight like this, I just run out of PP doing that. So I only do that when I'm absolutely sure I can get the double ticks. Otherwise, I do like 2 or 3 piercing arrows and then swap to Master Shot for the rest. Master Shot costs a lot less PP. Also, I guess fun note, that fire phase is one of those rare ones where I don't get clipped by anything, including the pinions. And even rarer, I don't know if outside this video I've ever done ice or fire and ice phase without getting hit, but that's what happened. Although the stun on 1233, it's good, but it's certainly not even the best I've done, oddly enough. So I'm not really sure why. I guess just the attacks he did that I had to maneuver around, so a bit of animation wasting time. Here's the first time I took a hit. I gotta take a lot more hits going forward, but it's an inspiring opening for sure. So another thing coming up here is I go for the lock on and it immediately loses the lock. If you watched carefully there, it had the yellow targeting for a little bit. I don't know what causes that. Also, I got light ring there and I hate it, but obviously, despite the time loss from it, I still actually killed him here, so yeah, I suppose. Which, I guess to elaborate on, light ring occurs when I do 3 normal attacks in a row. I think it's within 2 seconds or something like that. But it removes the effect where I have extra PP regeneration. Which is not great. Like, I don't need the damage reduction most of the time. And the increase in damage output is fairly negligible compared to what I lose for not being able to consistently banishing arrow rotation. Another thing to note, I guess, is outside of opening each phase with the Cerulean Ballista, if I'm running really low on PP, and you would have seen that with the last run too before this, is sometimes I'll just use it to deal damage while I'm waiting for PP to recover, while my rapid fire is also down. Because otherwise I'm just sitting there looking like an idiot. And doing non-rapid fire normals is usually not enough to get me anything unless I already have about 50-60 PP. And my brazenness kind of paid off here, because going to Fire Ice at 9:13 is pretty good for me. I know the speedrunners out there all get, like, it's super fast, so they never even see that fire phase, but I can't be as brazen in this zone. I'd need a lot more practice, I guess. Because it basically turns into disrespecting every single attack that Sodam does, now that I look back on it. So this tier, you've probably noticed here from my multiple attempts, those fire pillars, when he does that after the ult, like, that's 90% of the time gonna be a blizzard. Same with this. But I guess, for whatever reason, the AI freaked out here and just didn't. And that one might have actually been going to blizzard, but I don't know. It's hard to say, but as it turns out, him hesitating on those first two is just enough for me to interrupt it regardless. But yeah, mentioning cases where I use the 8-time piercing arrow, when he's stationary floating in the air there, that's usually one of the safe times. The other time I usually do is the stun, and when he does like the little wind updraft. I'm not sure how I got into that tornado there, like I was so far away from it. But this attack here, if I have enough PP, usually I'll try to jump in the air and do a full 8 piercing arrows, because he's just standing still and letting me shoot him. Desperately trying to get PP back here too, because I was down to 40 before rapid fire came off cooldown. And even though the wind bow is my weaker bow, there's a lot of juicier opportunities to attack compared to Fire Ice. So I like to kind of try to keep it high whenever I can, so that if he decides to stand still and be an idiot, I can just lay into him, like this. Actually, thinking back on this, these stuns like this, that border the edge of the transition, are really nice before Fire Ice, because it increases the chance of me getting an ult skip, or in the very least a blizzard skip. far from guaranteed, but hey, I'll take whatever I can get. This is another case where I'm not sure why Light Ring activated. Because there's just like, I played this back frame by frame and I only did 2 shots, so I'm not quite sure what was going on. So anyway, this is me pressing my luck super hard here. Like, this is what trying to skip the ults looks like when I can really get him backed into the corner. Which he really doesn't like to cooperate on a lot of the time, but go for it. This is also very dangerous because of that, where he can pull me into the wall and set me on fire. Which is why this last attempt last set of attempts I was trying to stay further away, but it probably caused me more issues trying to skip the ults too. So, like, unfortunately for Bo, there's a lot of cases of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So, unfortunately, we have to deal with the ult here. Even though we did so much damage. And, like, this is with me pushing a whole bunch of extra damage during that ult, too. Which, I guess, kind of looks a bit pale in comparison to the run I just did tonight. Where I unleashed, like, 2 full combos plus the Cerulean. Actually, you know what? Hilariously, I guess it's gonna be tradition for just like a buff to run out during my successful runs. Because when I decided to do this, I knew I didn't have a full 15 minutes on the stir fry either. Which, I feel like that's a lot less significant than the tree buff though. But see, there the stir fry just dropped. So we lost a bit of hit points, lost a bit of attack power. Not necessarily the hugest deal when we're this far into the fight. So at this point I know he should hopefully transition soon. And I don't want to go into it with like 40 PP left. Even though there's like 15 seconds where I'm not able to do anything and I have a chance to regenerate PP, it's just, if I can help it, I want to have more. But obviously still not the greatest scenario here, because rapid fire dropping off. EP gonna be at like 3/4 going into this. So I was a little worried. But I did get the slap here. So I was happy to see that. And it's like my specialty to get that stun off that right hand. Unfortunately, then the fist came, and I was really upset about that, because the fist is typically really crappy, especially when it hits me, too. So, at this point, I'm thinking we're probably gonna time out. Especially since that left slap just hit me, too. And he's pulling away, but Stray Master Shot tags him, and transitions him, somehow. So this would have been also demonstrated with the run I did tonight, but I'm going a little bit slower to make sure I don't lock myself into an animation that's not an iframe during that ult. Because then I would just die. Also, I'm a bit worried here because I'm low on PP and I'm out of rapid fire, but in the end, managed to do it. And I have to manually dodge that last ult. But this was the very first, as evidenced by the power zone drop. Which proved quite useful tonight, considering. Since I think without that lipo, the tree buff dropping would have just been the end.